Inside Blitz Week 7. We are back again with Ted Sobel from Sports USA, who is covering two good games this week. Go ahead, Ted. What kind of games we have this week?
Well, you sound so shocked the way you said that, Chris.
Well, we had crappy games. Gosh dang it.
We do this in advance. We do the best we can. Hey, we got Indianapolis at Tennessee, which actually probably sounded better about a month ago than it is now. But it is a big game, and they just played 3 weeks ago, so that's sort of weird. And then Kansas City at San Francisco, and all of a sudden last night, that gave us a whole new look at that game, and we'll get into that little trade in a little bit. But how about Indianapolis at Tennessee? Just the fact that Indy, I think they really need this game very, very badly. This is a team that has not beaten a whole lot yet this year. They're back on a roll. They've won a few in a row here. They're looking a little better. They're getting a little healthier, which is a good thing. And I like what they're doing, but they have to prove they can beat the better teams. And I'm not so sure Tennessee is one of those better teams. Ron, I know you've had your issues about the Titans all along this year, not feeling like they were going to repeat what they did last year.
Now, they kind of lucked into the number one seed. We talked about that in the past last year. This year, they're fighting for their lives, just like Indianapolis. They had some scares with Jacksonville, but right now, these two teams have winning records. The only game this week where we have teams with winning records.
I knew you were going to steal that.
Yeah, I stole that from you. I'm sorry. These teams also have really good running backs in Jonathan Taylor and Henry for Tennessee, yet both teams are not running to the standard that we're used to. So it's going to be interesting to see which team gets their run game going in this one. I'm going to throw it to Chris before I give you a couple more nuggets, and that's I do not have either of these teams in my top 16.
Oh, I don't think I do either, Ron. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Should we reschedule the game then, if that's the way you guys want it?
Somebody's going to – hey, both of these teams could make the playoffs still because of their competition.
And their division.
Absolutely.
Oh, I definitely don't have either of them in the top 15. I don't have either of them in the top 20.
Wow.
Neither of the,
Yeah.
And they're the only two teams with a winning record.
Yeah.
Facing each other this week.
That is so strange. That is really weird.
Now, I don't have either of these teams in the top 20. And I think for good reason. I don't know how anybody can argue that they could stand behind either of these teams. Leonard is out, or whatever his name is, this week again. And he's a little bit of the heart and soul of that defense. So there's a little bit of concern there. Tennessee is a diluted team. Basically, Tennessee light this year, it seems, compared to years past. I think, for me, just based on the metrics, I'm leaning toward Indianapolis on this game. I think that they're the better team. I don't think they should be getting 3 points. And I played the Colts plus the 3. Ron, what's your pick on this game? Because we know you always give a lot of picks out.
I give picks only when they're worthy of giving picks. But I pose questions to you guys too. Both of you answered this particular question.
Yes.
The Tennessee coaching staff has done very well with rest of late. They've won their last 4. Couple that with the fact that the Tennessee coaching staff has also won their last 3 against Indianapolis. Do you place any weight in the fact that Tennessee has had their way with Indianapolis the last couple of years?
Yeah, I do. I think it means something, and it's certainly got to be in the heads of the Colts some ways. But look, I'm more concerned about offensive lines in this game. I'm wondering, I really expected Indy to have a better O-line this year, and Matt Ryan's getting his ass kicked. He had 21 times he's been sacked until last game, and he didn't get sacked at all. But I don't get it. I thought they had rebuilt it, and it looked like it was going to be good for a while. So that's an issue with me. And also with Tennessee, you got to open up holes for Derrick Henry, and they've either been really big or not at all. I mean, he's either fantastic or like that's not Derrick Henry anymore. So that's sort of strange to me.
Yeah, this is Indianapolis' 5th divisional game. They have one more. So it'd be wise for them to win, but it's kind of a quirk that this may not be as playoff or bust game as I first thought. Because of Indy's tie with Houston, they're not going to be involved in any tiebreakers this year. Whatever their record is, they're going to be a half game ahead of a few teams or a half game behind a few teams. So the task at hand, even if they lose again to Tennessee, is that they could still make the playoffs if they navigate a kind of a weak schedule. And Chris and I on Tuesday, we talked about their schedule. It wasn't that tough.
I just thought I would share my screen here just for a second.
Well, that was really nice, actually.
Oops. I don't want to see me.
Looks like you haven't done your homework on that sheet. I'm not sure, though.
No, over here, take a quick look. This is my trailing last 5 weeks. And over here, we've got Indianapolis getting worse by 2.4. We've got Tennessee. Where the hell were they? Down negative minus 6.48.
Wow.
The second worst in the league. So I thought somebody might like to see that stat.
Well, I think it's interesting because, Chris, you and I have talked about this off air a lot about the recency factor. Are they trending up or are they trending down? So that's something that is built into your metrics a little bit.
Yeah, it's you have to you represent this before the season starts, how coaches are looking at things in quartiles. So teams change, they shift what they're going to do after they come out of a bye, after they have an extended 10-day layoff, anytime they can recenter, a shift in injury status. So I definitely refer back to what's been happening over recent weeks. It is not it is not technically inputted into my model, but I do monitor it and I do look at it, and sometimes I pay attention to it, sometimes I ignore it. It depends on the variables. It's a manual adjustment for me.
No, I want to perfect.
I just want to thank both of you guys because a couple of weeks ago, it's the first time I ever used the word quartile in my pregame show, and it's now part of my vocabulary. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I need to supplement your English teacher in middle school.
Yeah, or Fairfax High. But anyway.
Fairfax High. So you interviewed Paris Campbell, and that's a very interesting player to me. Came in the league with a lot of speed. A guy who could take the top off an offense. And what I like about wide receiver tandems is when one complements another. And you have Pittman on one side and Paris Campbell on the other side. And I don't know what he's going to say. You're the one who interviewed him, but I'm really curious.
Yeah, me too. I want to hear it again. And by the way, he's coming off his career best game. So, I mean, that's why I wanted him. And caught 7 of 11 targets, 57 yards and a TD against Jacksonville. Play it, Chris.
Yeah, how you doing, Ted?
Hey, I'm great. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. First, what's it been like catching passes from the old vet, Matt Ryan?
Oh, it's been fun, man. We're in week 7, so, the chemistry's been building. We've been building on some good stuff, and we had a good performance last week, so it's been good, and, I'm just excited for what's to come.
You mentioned it's week 7. How strange is it to already be playing your 5th divisional game?
Yeah, I feel that we've had like one of the toughest schedules, just with all the division opponents we faced already this early in the season. But we knew that going into it. We knew that it would be tough. But I feel like, obviously the first few games didn't go the way we wanted it to, but I feel like we set ourselves up. We have a great opportunity this week versus the Titans, and just looking forward to that.
Yeah, different scheduling, too. It was only 3 weeks ago. You had 4 catches, 43 yards against Tennessee. So what's it like playing this team so soon again at this stage of the season? What'd you learn from that loss?
Yeah, dating back to that loss, I think it just came down to just us as an offense having a lot of self-inflicted wounds. We had some turnovers that were huge, and we had some big penalties that were huge. It just cost us. So I think going into this week, we'll learn from that. If we've already been watching that film and seeing what we're doing wrong and making those corrections. And obviously we got to see how the defense was playing us.
Yeah.
So we know what to expect going in. And obviously, they'll do some different stuff because, they're just so used to playing us and vice versa. But we've had a great week of practice thus far, and, we're prepared to go in and take on the challenge.
We're with Colts receiver Paris Campbell. You won 2 straight since you played the Titans. The key to your turnaround is
Was it?
No.
Oh, sorry.
just literally limiting those mistakes?
Yeah, I would think so. Obviously, that's a big part of it. We just can't have those self-inflicted wounds. And then again, I think it's just starting fast. We want to come out as an offense and just get the ball rolling early and often. I think when it comes down to starting fast, we gotta stay ahead of the chains. Like we can't get ourselves in third and long. We gotta on first and second down. We gotta keep getting positive gains and just stay the course. And I think the rest will take care of itself.
How's my Badger buddy Jonathan Taylor looking? He's back in practice, right?
Oh yeah. He's looking good, man. Starting to look like himself again.
Good.
But no, he's feeling good.
Well, how big is it that if you get him back, you only had 38 rushing yards against the Titans last time?
Yeah. No, it's huge. And I think last week as a total offense, it was one of our better performances thus far in the season. And obviously we know that team's game plan for JT. They try to load the box on us. Yep. But it'll be big just to get him back in the position we're in now, just because we feel like as an offense we have momentum. We'll get one of our top playmakers back. I think it's all going to mesh well, pretty good together. So we're excited for that.
And last thing, Paris, thoughts on the importance of this game? You certainly don't want to get swept in this series and lose the tiebreak advantage, and you haven't got to the midway point of the season yet.
Right. No, it's huge. We know that the reign to the AFC South goes to the Titans. I mean, they've been the division champs the past few years. And we know that, and we know in our last few games against them we haven't gotten the result that we want. So we're preparing the right way, man. We're focused, we're locked in as a team, and we're just ready to take on the challenge. I feel like I said, we set ourselves up, and what a better time than this? It's week 7, early in the season, so we gotta go handle business. And everyone, like I said, everyone's locked in. We're all on the same page, man. So just can't wait till Sunday.
Why not make that divisional run have to go through Indy instead, right?
Absolutely. I like the sound of that.
All right, man. I appreciate the time, and a great job. Well, I look forward to talking to you down the road, and stay healthy, all right?
Absolutely. Thanks, Ted. Appreciate you.
All right, that's Paris Campbell, third leading receiver on this team, and after last week's game, probably second leading receiver if he gets enough targets this week, and I would expect that to be the case. That chemistry is now really starting to improve between him and Matt Ryan. And, hey, this kid out of Ohio State, he's still a kid, but he needs to stay healthy, Ron.
Yeah, well, 6 games in a row he stayed healthy. Both teams are going to try to establish the run because they have those bell cow running backs. Yet when they have to pass on their terms, they're facing pass defenses that are near the bottom of the league and allowing completion percentage. So if they can get into second and short, third and short situations, that frees Pittman and Campbell. And Indy's edge is really in their receiving core, as opposed to Tennessee not having that same edge. The edge for Tennessee is, can they get to Matt Ryan? You mentioned the 21 sacks, so you did your homework, my homework. Thank you. I don't even have to worry about that part. If they get to Matt Ryan, it's a whole different story. If they don't, Paris Campbell might make a difference in this game.
Yeah.
Well, why hasn't Taylor gotten anything done? I know he's been banged up, but he's played a couple of games and he didn't do anything, did he?
No, he had a couple of good games, but he missed the last 2, I believe.
He did.
Yeah, so he's back, and and apparently he's healthy again, so that's all that matters. Yeah, I think it was an ankle thing.
Yeah, 38 yards against Tennessee. That's unacceptable. I expect him to get much more in this particular game, but it's not his yards that's going to make the difference per se. It's his ability to keep the other team honest. So, Chris, you've got an interest in this game. When I did that, factoring in the series history and the rest and so on, I just came up with Tennessee by 3 points. So I'm on the sidelines.
Well, I don't know what to tell you.
Value, right, Chris? In your mind, you got a little value.
This game is really interesting. Chiefs at 49ers. Apparently, San Francisco picked up somebody from the Salvation Army or something, another player off the streets, huh?
Yeah, how about Christian McCaffrey going there? It seems like we've mentioned his name a million times over the last few months. Just the fact that how important he is and would he ever be available, that kind of thing. Well, he was available, and I think that means anybody's available on that team. You remember we had Carolina on our air last week, and it just changes everything to me for San Francisco. Look, the bottom line is he's got to play, and he's got to play healthy. So if he's healthy, he's as good as any all-around player in the last decade. If he's not healthy, it doesn't matter, and you just threw away a bunch of draft picks. But let's hope that he's able to do good. He gets to go sort of back home. He's a Colorado guy, but played at Stanford, so he's back in his old neighborhood up there in the Bay Area. Should feel really comfortable. You know how badly they wanted him. This is an all-in situation, very similar. The Niners are acting like the Rams from last year. Like, we're going to pick up this guy when we need him, and we think he's going to make the difference. So it's all in about a Super Bowl now. And they have this window that I think they don't want it to close in front of them. They get Nick Bosa back this week. They get Trent Williams back, getting healthier. Look, a good thing to happen at home. Who knows how much in the offense that McCaffrey's going to be. He's going to be there for 10 minutes before they even snap the first ball on Sunday. But it'll be interesting to see how much they use him.
I think it was just as much keep away from the Rams and other teams as much as they needed him also. But, the unique thing about this is they basically gave away almost nothing for him when you really think about it, because they only traded the free draft picks that they got for losing 3 coaches.
Exactly.
Compensatory picks.
Yep.
And they were overloaded in these 3rd and 4th and 5th round picks anyway, number one. And his contract's going to have to get completely reworked. So, they can just cut him or whatever. There's nothing guaranteed left on the contract, even though it is a pricey contract. So
I thought he has 2 more years left on the deal, from what I understand.
Yeah, it's not guaranteed.
3 years, not guaranteed.
Right. So they'll figure that out. I mean, if that's their biggest problem, if they get through this season, either win a Super Bowl or go to the Super Bowl, and he's certainly a big part. You throw him and Debo in the same offense, and it's like, okay, Shanahan, you're supposed to be a genius. You better figure this thing out and get those guys the ball.
I got 2 comments, one related to the game and one not related to the game. And Chris made the point. I thought I was going to have a little scoop here. But I talked to a couple.
That's why I interrupted you. I knew you'd have something.
No, you got it. This was not entirely about San Francisco getting McCaffrey. This is absolutely what Chris said about keep away from the Rams. The Rams I understood that the Rams had a deal on the table. I did a little searching and stuff like that. The Rams, we've talked about it, Chris, all year. The Rams roster in September is never what the roster is in December. And this time the 49ers said, no, you can't have McCaffrey. If it costs us 4 draft picks, Rams, you don't have the draft capital to get him if we outbid you, and we outbid you. Now, The on-field issue, though, is that San Francisco's offensive scheme, very carefully orchestrated, usually does not include passes to the running back. So they're going to have to change a little bit on the field. I would imagine they're thinking of creative ways to have McCaffrey act like a pseudo wide receiver, jack of all trades kind of thing, because they typically throw fewer passes to their running backs than almost any other team, regardless of the fact that they've had good running backs over the years. So they're going to have to reinvent themselves a little bit, and I'm not sure it's going to be as smooth as people think.
No, I don't think it's a problem, though. And as a matter of fact, I mean, as we know, McCaffrey catches the ball about as well as any running back out there. So
and a great jump cut, too.
You just throw him in the slot like half the time. I mean, I don't see it's not a major deal to me. And now you can move Debo around and do stuff with him that you couldn't do before. That puts you in a really good situation. Again, I don't think you have to be a genius to figure this out. And Kyle Shanahan they throw that word around on him. He's supposed to be one of the best at creating whatever is your talent to get the most out of you on offense. And the rest of it is still questionable in my mind. I mean, I still have my doubts about him as an overall guy, an X's and O's guy from a game standpoint. But from this should be right up his alley.
No, I think it can be done. I just think it's going to take some creative thinking. I don't think they want to use him as a traditional running back catching passes like other running backs, because I don't think that's what San Francisco is all about. But if you go to this game itself, here's a question for you and Chris. How much, if anything, did the Buffalo game take out of Kansas City and Mahomes? Is there that game's past, now we're going to San Francisco? Where are you guys on that?
I think it hurts the fact that they are on the road against one of the best defenses in the league. That is my biggest concern, that this would have been a hell of a lot easier if they didn't have to travel and all that stuff. So I think there'll be a little bit of a lingering effect, but somehow the Chiefs figure out ways of getting the job done. So I'm not overly concerned with that. I'm more concerned that San Francisco, they picked up McCaffrey, and how they're going to use him in this game. Are you just going to do the traditional, okay, he's our running back, we'll hand it off to him a dozen times or whatever, that kind of stuff? I think that's going to be interesting to me. What do you think, Chris?
I'm looking at the injury comparison, and it's just so bleak for San Francisco, even if they do get a couple of these guys back. Jeez.
Well, it's not just a couple of guys. It's Bosa and Trent Williams, and those are huge.
Well, but is Bosa for sure coming back?
I heard he was.
I thought he was still questionable, but
you've got cluster injuries in the secondary. You've got a kind of a weak pass defense, and then you got Pat Mahomes on the other side.
Exactly.
I think this is very dangerous. Yeah, totally. Very dangerous for San Francisco's when Pat Mahomes goes back to pass.
I mean, they only have 3 positions on defense that are basically considered okay. The other 8 positions on defense have injury concerns. So there's not, and then you look at the Kansas City offense, and all 11 positions are fine, not a single injury concern. So that's something that I worry about in this game. I don't have a play on this game. The metrics kind of lean a little bit toward Kansas City, quite frankly, but not enough to get involved in the game. I'm excited about McCaffrey joining this team. They'll find a way to integrate him. I just worry about him staying healthy. I mean, that's the running gag we've had for the last 2 years, Ron, is this guy, how many games is he going to play? What a great talent, great to watch, but geez, he's just like porcelain.
I think he's missed 70% of the games the last couple of seasons.
Yeah. So,
well, the idea in a 17-game season, especially if they could get running back Jeff Mitchell back, is McCaffrey makes a difference in the playoffs because he's not a traditional running back, but he has to be available for the playoffs. So that's the trick. As far as this game is concerned, I thought the line was a little high to start, but now with the excitement of McCaffrey, it's probably going to come down. I think it touched 3 for a little bit. I don't see it touching 3 regardless of how many snaps McCaffrey plays. I would have a lean to Kansas City just because of the play style that they're going to have against the San Francisco defense, it's just not ideal, especially if Bosa is limited. It's just not ideal to have Patrick Mahomes roam the field and look for wide receivers.
Yeah, how about just the record itself for the Niners? They're 3-3. They lose this game. They're under 500, and we're talking about them as possibly going to the Super Bowl. I mean, that's sort of we've been saying it all along. It's very division related as well. Just the fact that the rest of the division is nothing special, they're all around 500. So it doesn't matter at this point. But still, I mean, it's pretty weird. They could be 3-4 and they're saying, yeah, they look like a Super Bowl team. It's like, what? I mean,
Yeah, they're going to have to keep up with Seattle, who's going to beat the Chargers this week. So there's a lot of pressure on them.
Love that one. There's your pick of the week.
Any other news on this game? Ron, you've got no bets again. But you're never going to be betting Freddie, are you?
Well,
did somebody say
never force a bet? Hey, what was about 24 hours ago, we tossed around Georgia Tech for a play yesterday. Neither one of us made the play. So we're essentially 1-0 because we didn't make the play. Don't force anything.
There you go. By the way, Patrick Mahomes, 11-3 after a loss. That's a nice number to remember.
Yeah, well, he was also undefeated as an underdog coming into last week. So times are changing. Ted.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Any other interesting sideline notes or games or comments you have on the NFL slate, you guys?
Well, I mean, we can talk a little bit about the New York teams and what the hell is going on over there, even though they don't play in New York. I would always love calling them the New York teams. They don't even know where New York is. But, the Giants right now, they're underdogs at Jacksonville this week, right? 5-1 and underdogs as probably they should be. But I don't know if the Jags should ever be a favorite because remember what happened a couple of weeks ago, 7-point favorites and they lose to Houston. So go figure them out. Drives me crazy.
Yeah, I think the Jaguars' new logo shouldn't be a Jaguar. It should be a banana because I've been falling for the banana in the tailpipe with them for 3 weeks in a row after they looked so good.
Yeah, didn't like that one. So I'm not going to have a lot of props this week because there aren't any props really up right now. On the Indy game, I'm waiting for the receptions to be set because I formulated all my numbers already. I'm just waiting for the numbers to come out. But I do have a question, especially for you, Ted, since you have spent so much time getting ready for the Indianapolis, Tennessee game, and you interviewed Paris Campbell. His number is out, and it's 29.5 receiving yards.
Over.
Yeah, just wanted to hear what you said. I personally said it I'm not a big over player, as you guys know, and some others know. My set was 37.5, just to let you know. There's a little distance. There's a little distance there that I'm considering because I think the 29.5 is going to go up. I know both teams are going to want to establish the run. And I also know that Pittman is going to get the majority of the targets. The question is, when Paris Campbell is targeted, is it going to be for a long gainer? And so if Taylor can set that up, but you looked at the game, Ted. Is 29.5 too low?
Yeah, I think it is too low. And I think, remember, he had 11 targets last week. So even if he gets 8 targets this week, that still puts him in a pretty good spot. And he's a guy who's got the speed and should be able to, find a few gaps in there to get some yards. So I like the overs in this game. And I like the fact that chemistry is starting to really build with Matt Ryan. Remember, they're still a new tandem and they don't even know each other's name before this year.
So the props were 4-1 in a spot last week. If lose this one, do we send the bill to you or do we send it to Chris?
You can send it to me, but I hit the delete button, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
Do the wheels fall off the bus for the Falcons this week?
That's a good question. At Cincinnati, yes. I like what Cincinnati is doing right now. Look, Mariota you never know what we're going to get from him. So far, so good. I like the way they're protecting the ball over the last few weeks, which is really, really important for them, specifically because they're not that talented and they need to keep away from those turnovers as much as anybody. So if they can do that in this game, it'll be a close game. But you know what? I don't see them winning on the road at Cincy.
Ron, spit it out. Do the wheels come off the bus this week?
I mean, it is one of the games that I'm interested in as far as what I'm looking forward to this week, because I want to see what Cincinnati's defense, which I have maybe a little higher than you, Chris, this year, but I like Cincinnati's defense, what they've done so far, and they're going to play Atlanta's very nicely tailored scheme. So I'm curious about that game. I'm curious if Carolina is going to be a fade all year. On the Tuesday show, Ted, Chris and I talked about only one team in my stay away from. And usually by this point, I have 3 or 4 teams to stay away from. Only one this year, and it was before the news, obviously, but Carolina was a stay away.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
what about Dallas, you guys? Dallas is averaging 18 points a game. I know they have a 4-2 record. Does Dak do anything to upgrade the offense? I mean, the 0.0 is really lagging behind. What do you guys think of Dak's contribution moving forward to the Dallas offense?
Well, I think it certainly helps that he's playing against maybe the worst defense statistically in the league this week in Detroit. So, I mean, it's like that's a good game to come back on. You can build your confidence, don't you think? It's like, hey, if the Lions can't score 30, how the hell are they going to win this game? So that's the bottom line there. Look, it's just a practice game for Dak, and there's no way Dallas should lose this game at home to the Lions. Sorry there, Chris.
Chris might have a different thought.
Well, I just found this. So this is what I like on it. I just took the Falcons +7. I wouldn't take it. I got +7, -113. So
all right.
Okay.
By the way, in that Atlanta game, Ron, I'm asking you specifically, how about the run D for Cincinnati? Is it up to snuff as far as you're concerned? Because the Falcons are the 3rd best in the league in rush yards per game.
Statistically, no, the run D is not there. So
there's your matchup. That's the concern.
But we test the true theory is that running and stopping the run doesn't necessarily correlate to win success. You can wear down a team. Green Bay, it's their Achilles heel a lot as far as they just mobile quarterbacks have a kind of a weird impact on games, and some teams just have a lot of trouble against mobile quarterbacks. We've casually brought that up, but it's worthy. If there's not enough time to do that now, it's worthy of an off-season study, mobile quarterbacks and spread success against certain defenses, because it just seems to bother a few teams.
Yeah, Marcus Mariota, though, is certainly he's a different breed out there. That the fact that he will run and do whatever the heck he wants out on the field, but that's part of their run game as far as I'm concerned. And that's going to be the issue here, as far as what they do in this game at Cincinnati.
If you stop their tight end and you stop their rookie wide receiver, Drake London, who's not a separator, but he can plant and get those stop and goes and create space. You don't have any live options unless Mariota is allowed to play action.
Right, exactly. What do you got, Chris?
All right, Chris, what do you got for us? Are we really going to talk about NCAA? You and I talked about it.
I got to come up with my VSiN picks, and they're due in less than 30 minutes, and I have no idea what I'm going to pick. So what do you like in the NCAA this week, Ron?
No, we talked about the whole slate yesterday. So there were 2 or 3 games more than 2 or 3, but we thought we would talk about 2 or 3 that we agreed upon. Now, what they were, I don't remember, but now I think Rice was one of them, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the San Francisco treat.
Okay, so if we look at our notes, for various reasons, we both looked at Louisiana Tech, not much of a run defense there. Amazingly, if Rice wins this game, you might see them in December in a bowl game. It's kind of extra incentive. New coaches who do not defend the rush well, not very good. And so we kind of agree that Rice might be an interesting pick there. I think you talked about Southern Miss too. What did you have on Southern Miss?
Yeah, I lean Southern Miss there.
Yeah, it's the records are pretty much the same. Southern Miss has about, what are they on, quarterback number 6 by now or something like that? Last year they were on quarterback number 4. So they went to running backs playing quarterback at the end of last year, and then they went 2-0 in those games. And they're kind of back at it again. You have to stop Southern Miss run. College is different. If you can't stop the run, you've got a problem. And by my numbers, and I don't do complete numbers on it, Chris could elaborate on it, Texas State will have trouble stopping Southern Miss's run.
Oh yeah, their run stop game. They're not very good. And then Texas State can't even run the ball. They're running the ball for 2 yards per carry. How are they going to even get to the other side of the field? Take all day.
I have a coaching problem with them too. And any coach that lands in my bottom 5 coaches are usually play against. I have a bottom 5 coaches list every year. One of them's already gone. I think 2 of them are already gone because these in-season firings, the Colorado coach and one of the other guys. So we only have 3 left. Typically 3 of them are fired every year. I thought this guy was a strong case to be fired, but they're 3-4, which is an improvement for them. But if they drop this game, that will be a problem.
What about this Mississippi game that's moving against you?
Moving against me, the line is adjusting and readjusting. Where is it now? About 1.5?
Oh, I guess, well, yeah, it's 1.5.
It opened pick'em, went to 2.5. It's now settling around 1.5. It's a weird game for me because I think LSU has shown resiliency. They've gotten behind, but they play all 60 minutes and they've either caught up and won or they forced a 2-point conversion try to miss or not miss. So I think LSU is still not a complete team. Mississippi is trying to take the pressure off their quarterback by not letting him throw very much, not putting him in harm's way. Although he does run well, 3 Mississippi guys, 2 running backs and their quarterback, each ran for over 100 yards last week.
Wow.
In their win. So the way to beat LSU is just control the ground game. Mississippi shows up pretty good defensively. It is one of the plays that I'm looking at.
Good. Hey, guys, a quick thought on a couple of coaches in the NFL before we wrap things up and mention next week's games. But I'm just curious your thoughts on, Cleveland and Stefanski, because how many times did we say before the season and into the season, the Browns might have the deepest roster in the whole league, and they're awful, okay? They've lost 3 in a row, and they look like they have no idea what they're doing. Is Stefanski in trouble over there? And maybe he should be if he's not. And the other is Kingsbury. I mention him every week. You know, they won last night, but they got destroyed from a yardage standpoint. And if it's not for those 2 turnovers at the end of the first half, you just give them 14 points, it's a whole different ball game. And they might have easily lost that game. So just your thoughts on a couple of those guys.
Chris, go first.
You know what? We said it at the beginning. This team has it all. All they got to do is make it through the 10, 12 games that Watson sits out, and they should be good to go. Their defense is solid. Their offensive line is solid. And I'm sitting here looking at the bottom 5 defenses on my chart: Detroit, Seattle, Miami, and then Cleveland. How the hell does Cleveland end up 4th from the bottom? I don't know, and that falls on the coaching.
And do you really expect Deshaun Watson just to show up? He hasn't played in a few years, and everything's going to be beautiful. I don't see it.
The division may still be there for the taking. They just had to get to 5-6 and hopefully 6-5. But I think I speak for Chris is that I would have never guessed that their overall defensive metrics would be so low. It's vastly disappointed. It's not only in how many points they've allowed, it's that they can't get to opposing quarterbacks. 11 sacks in 6 games was not something that I expected with Myles Garrett on the team, taking the pressure off some of the other guys. They had, many more sacks the previous year. Regarding Arizona, if they don't make the playoffs, Kingsbury is out. That's my opinion. If they lost by double digits last night, I think they would have fired him before, in the extended bye. But now he's safe. He's going to be safe for a while. Their GM, I think I was on Twitter last night talking about their GM. Their GM is rock solid. He's gotten Kingsbury all the tools that he wanted, the kind of quarterback and everything. So it's a coaching thing. And if he doesn't get it done, then he's out. But I think he bought himself maybe the rest of the year because they won and because they got Hopkins back last week.
But how does he save his job on a game they were outplayed throughout almost the entire game? If you're watching the game, he's not safe just because they won. But if it's one win, I don't see it.
Hey, what are they? Half a game out of the standings? A win is a win.
I know a win is a win, but if you're watching, you're thinking this thing is they're discombobulated, and it shouldn't be.
You know what I like about your games next week, just to wrap it up, the Giant, New England and the Jets, New York Giants, Seattle, all four teams are excited to be where they are right now.
That's true.
I'm not going to talk about the Jets and Giants right now. That's not the purpose, but I look forward to talking about them and to have Chris's opinions and your opinions as to why they are where they are and whether they can keep it going. I think it's fascinating.
The Patriots and the Jets are going to be off long winning streaks facing each other, right?
It's highly possible.
Yep.
Either way, they're going to have winning records going into this game.
Right. And of course, the question is this week with New England is Zappe going to still be the quarterback? You got to be impressed. Just the fact that he's this kid, and usually that doesn't happen much in the Bill Belichick era. But hey, some guy named Brady showed up and did fine for him. So I'm not saying he's going to be Brady, of course, but do you just hand it back to Mac Jones, or do you just say let's ride this kid and see what he does?
I wouldn't hand it back to Jones. What about you, Ron?
It's a toss-up right now. First of all, Mac Jones has to prove he's completely healthy. And we know New England doesn't tell the whole truth on injury reports. So we don't really know how healthy he is. We just hear coach speak and players speak. And
then you just leave him there if he's not completely healthy. It's not even a thought. Yeah. It's Zappe's playing. That's it.
These things tend to play itself out. Everybody wanted to say, give Dak more time. And as soon as Dallas lost, Dak's back in the lineup. So they'll play itself out.
I hear music. I think he's cutting us off, but I'm not
sure. That's the segue music.
Good night, everybody.
I have 10 minutes to get my picks in. So
do it, baby.
If you guys want to keep on chatting, go ahead.
Yeah, I will say that, make sure you watch us, comment on us. I have a poll out there. Who's going to win these two games? Please let us know who you think between Kansas City and San Francisco got more intriguing. And obviously Indy and Tennessee. Love to get those poll results bumped up and see what you guys think.
And both games on Sports USA, my pregame show, 9:30 in the morning Pacific time on Sunday on many of your Sports USA stations around the country.
Excellent. Thanks to everybody for joining us. Make sure you subscribe and make all your family members subscribe also. And we'll see you. We'll be back on Tuesday again with something.
Good luck in the weekend, boys.